Chinese clothing has a long and colorful history, going back thousands of years. From the loose-fitting robes of ancient emperors and empresses to the stylish Cheongsam of the 1900s, Chinese fashion tells a fascinating story. Each period in China's past has shaped how people dressed. Starting with the Han Dynasty, clothes became a way to show off social status, cultural beliefs, and artistic taste. Let's explore the amazing world of Chinese fashion, see how it changed over time, and understand why it's still important today. In this journey, we'll travel through 2,500 years of Chinese clothing. Our main focus will be on Hanfu, the traditional clothes of the Han Chinese people. We'll see how it transformed across different periods, influenced by things happening both within China and from other countries. Through their clothes, we can learn about the beauty standards, social rules, and cultural values of people who lived long ago. The Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BC to 220 AD, was a very important time in Chinese history and fashion. Hanfu, which means dress of the Han, became a symbol of the cultural identity and style of that time. This period saw a boom in art and culture which influenced the development of a refined and elegant clothing style. The Han Dynasty, with its focus on unity and everyone adopting Han culture, saw the emergence of a more standardized style of clothing among the elite. Han Dynasty clothing was known for its flowing shapes, detailed designs, and the use of fancy fabrics like silk. One of the most famous garments from this time was the yi, a one-piece robe worn by both men and women. Women's yi often had elaborate embroidery, showing lucky symbols like dragons, phoenixes, and flowers. Bright colors like red, yellow, and blue were only for the wealthy and powerful, while ordinary people usually wore duller shades. Han Dynasty clothing wasn't just pretty, it had deep cultural and social meaning. The way you dressed showed your social status, job, and even if you were married. Fancy headdresses, often decorated with jewels and ornaments, were a key part of elite attire, signifying wealth and power. Hanfu, with its elegance, symbolism, and historical importance, would continue to influence Chinese fashion for centuries to come. After the Han Dynasty, China went through a period of division and unrest known as the Three Kingdoms. Despite the political chaos, Hanfu remained influential, continuing to shape clothing styles. The one-piece robe, or yi, remained a common garment for both men and women. However, subtle changes in aesthetics and preferences began to appear, reflecting the changing social and cultural landscape. During the Wei and Jin dynasties, there was a trend towards looser, more flowing silhouettes in women's clothing. These loose-fitting garments draped beautifully on the body, creating an aura of elegance and sophistication. The sleeves of women's robes became wider and more elaborate, often featuring decorative borders, fringes, and intricate embroidery. These flowing garments were often paired with long, flowing sashes that were tied at the waist, accentuating the wearer's figure. The Southern and Northern dynasties was a time of further change in Chinese clothing. The country was divided into northern and southern regions, leading to different styles in each region. In the south, where the courts were known for their luxury and refinement, clothing styles remained elegant and sophisticated. Southern women's attire often featured long, flowing robes with wide sleeves and elaborate sashes. The Sui dynasty, though short-lived, played a crucial role in reunifying China after centuries of division. The Sui emperors wanted to bring back a sense of unity and shared culture, leading to a revival and standardization of Han Chinese traditions. Under the Sui, the basic elements of Hanfu, such as the cross-collar robe and flowing silhouettes, were reasserted and refined. This period witnessed a resurgence of interest in luxurious fabrics, intricate embroidery, and the use of symbolic motifs in clothing. The Tang dynasty was a time of great wealth, political stability, and cultural exchange. The Tang capital, Chang'an, became a bustling center along the Silk Road. attracting merchants, diplomats, and travelers from all over Eurasia. This influx of foreign cultures had a big impact on Tang Dynasty society, including its fashion. Tang rulers were open to new ideas, embracing the diversity of cultures and styles within their empire. The Tang Dynasty is often called a golden age of Chinese fashion. Women's fashion in particular flourished during this era. One of the most notable trends in Tang Dynasty women's clothing was the emergence of the rukun, a style consisting of a short, tight-fitting jacket worn over a long, flowing skirt. The skirt, or kun, was often made of luxurious fabrics like silk or brocade and was pleated or gathered at the waist to create a voluminous silhouette. The rukun allowed for a wide variety of styles in terms of fabric, color, and decoration. Women of the Tang Dynasty embraced bold colors and patterns, adorning their garments with intricate embroidery, delicate floral motifs, and lucky symbols. The high waistline of the skirt made the wearer look taller, creating an air of elegance and grace. The Tang Dynasty's cosmopolitan atmosphere also led to the introduction of new textile techniques and designs from Central Asia and beyond. The Song Dynasty, lasting from 960 to 1279 AD, was a time of great cultural and intellectual achievements in China. These values are reflected in the clothing of the Song Dynasty, which, while still elegant and sophisticated, adopted a more understated aesthetic compared to the opulence of the Tang. The elaborate and voluminous garments of the Tang were replaced by more streamlined robes with narrower sleeves and a less exaggerated silhouette. Song Dynasty clothing was still meticulously crafted with careful attention paid to the quality of fabrics, the precision of tailoring, and the subtle details of ornamentation. While the Song Dynasty preferred a more restrained aesthetic, it didn't completely abandon the use of luxurious fabrics and colors. Pale and muted colors such as celadon green, dove gray, and ivory became fashionable, reflecting the period's appreciation for understated elegance. Embroidery, while still used as a decorative element, became more delicate and refined. These subtle details added a touch of luxury and refinement to the otherwise understated garments of the Song Dynasty. The Yuan dynasty, established by Kublai Khan, marked a dramatic shift in Chinese history. The Yuan court, while adopting some aspects of Han Chinese culture, also kept many of its own traditions, including those related to clothing. Mongol garments were typically looser and more practical, designed for ease of movement on horseback and protection from the elements. The use of fur and leather was also common, reflecting the nomadic lifestyle of the Mongols. The Yuan dynasty saw a fascinating blend of Mongol and Han Chinese clothing styles. While the Mongol rulers mostly kept their own distinctive attire, Han Chinese officials and elites were allowed to continue wearing modified versions of traditional Hanfu. One notable example is the adoption of the zip, a type of side-fastening garment that originated in Central Asia and became popular among the Mongols. The fusion of Mongol and Han Chinese styles during this period led to new and innovative designs in the centuries to come. The Qing dynasty, lasting from 1644 to 1912, established by the Manchus, brought another era of significant change in Chinese clothing. Manchu men were required to adopt the queue, a hairstyle that involved shaving the front of the head and braiding the remaining hair into a long tail. They were also ordered to wear Manchu-style clothing, which was very different from traditional Han Chinese attire. Manchu men's clothing typically consisted of long robes with narrow sleeves, often worn over trousers or breeches. While Manchu rulers tried to make Han Chinese men wear their clothing styles, Han Chinese women were mostly allowed to continue wearing modified versions of their traditional attire. The basic silhouette of the Hanfu, with its cross-collar robe and flowing skirt, remained a staple garment for Han Chinese women during the Qing dynasty. One notable trend was the increasing popularity of jackets or vests worn over the robe, a style that echoed the Manchu preference for layered garments. These jackets, often shorter in length than the robe, allowed for greater freedom of movement and provided an opportunity to showcase luxurious fabrics and intricate embroidery. One of the most significant developments in Chinese clothing during the Qing dynasty was the emergence of the Cheongsam, a form-fitting dress that would later become a famous symbol of Chinese femininity. The Cheongsam, also known as the Qipao, evolved from the traditional Manchu women's robe, known as the Changpao. During the early 20th century, as Chinese society underwent significant social and cultural changes, the Changpao began to be tailored to create a more form-fitting silhouette. This evolution eventually led to the creation of the Cheongsam, a dress that continues to be celebrated for its elegance and cultural significance. The Cheongsam became very popular during the Republic of China era, from 1912 to 1949, becoming a symbol of modernity, sophistication, and national identity. The fall of the Qing dynasty and the establishment of the Republic led to a rejection of Manchu rule and a renewed interest in Han Chinese culture and traditions. The Cheongsam, while originating from Manchu attire, was embraced by Han Chinese women as a symbol of their newfound freedom and emancipation. It represented a departure from the restrictive clothing styles of the past and embodied the progressive spirit of the era. Designers and tailors experimented with different fabrics, colors, patterns, and embellishments, creating a wide range of Cheongsam styles to suit different tastes and occasions. The 20th century brought huge changes in China, reshaping its social fabric and cultural expressions, including clothing. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1911 led to a reassessment of traditional values and a search for new identity. This period saw a blend of Western influences, nationalism, and traditional Chinese aesthetics. Chinese women increasingly adopted Western fashion elements. Western styles, symbols of modernity, were embraced by urban elites and intellectuals. The 1920s and 1930s in China were marked by a surge in feminist ideals and social reforms, leading to movements aimed at liberating women from traditional constraints. One such movement was the natural breast movement, which challenged the centuries-old practice of breast binding. Advocates of this movement argued that breast binding was not only physically harmful, but also a symbol of female oppression, restricting women's freedom of movement and expression. The natural breast movement had a significant impact on the evolution of the Cheongsam. As women abandoned breast binding, the Cheongsam was adapted to accommodate the natural female form. Darts and other tailoring techniques were incorporated to create a more form-fitting silhouette that accentuated the curves of the body without resorting to constricting undergarments. The Cheongsam, once a symbol of Manchu rule, was transformed into an emblem of modern Chinese womanhood, embodying both elegance and liberation. Despite Western fashion trends, the Cheongsam remained popular throughout the 20th century. Its versatility and elegance made it a timeless choice for women of all ages. In Hong Kong, the Cheongsam thrived well into the late 20th century. Hong Kong's cultural blend embraced the Cheongsam's elegance and adaptability. Tailors and designers in Hong Kong became renowned for their exquisite craftsmanship. The Cheongsam's appeal stems from its aesthetic qualities and symbolic power. For many Chinese women, it represents cultural heritage and identity. It embodies grace, elegance, and resilience, transcending generations. The Cheongsam remains a steadfast presence, reflecting tradition and modernity. It stands as a powerful symbol of Chinese womanhood and cultural identity. The Cheongsam continues to inspire designers and captivate fashion enthusiasts. From the flowing robes of the Han Dynasty to the sleek silhouettes of the Cheongsam, Chinese clothing reflects rich cultural heritage and evolving aesthetics. Over thousands of years, it has adapted to social and cultural changes. A common thread persists: elegance, artistry, and cultural expression. From Hanfu to Tang cosmopolitan influences, Chinese fashion shows remarkable adaptation and reinvention. Today, Chinese fashion stands at a fascinating crossroads where tradition and modernity intersect in exciting ways. There's a growing movement among Chinese designers and consumers to embrace and reinterpret their rich sartorial heritage. The resurgence of traditional clothing like Hanfu is evident among young people, drawn to its elegance and cultural roots. Contemporary designers blend traditional silhouettes, fabrics, and motifs into modern designs, reflecting China's global outlook. The Cheongsam evolves with sleek lines and elegant simplicity, finding new expressions in the hands of innovative designers. From international runways to the streets of Beijing and Shanghai, Chinese fashion captivates the world with its unique blend of tradition and innovation. As China rises as a global power, its influence on fashion promises an exciting new chapter in the story of Chinese clothing.